Hello and welcome. My name is Oliver Geider and I'm the Executive Director of EuroCrowd. This webinar is organized on behalf of CrowdIP, an initiative supported by the European Union Intellectual Property Office, or short EUIPO. As you may know, crowdfunding has become a popular method for businesses to raise capital, and ensuring the protection of their ideas and rights is crucial in this process. We are delighted today to welcome three founders and managers of crowdfunding platforms as speakers. Christopher Gratz, CEO and founder of Investor Group, Nora Shelesh, co-founder of tokeportal.com, and Carlo Alevi, director and co-founder of We Are Starting. In today's discussion, we are highlighting the critical need for early IP planning, often overlooked. Waiting until later stages of development to address intellectual property matters can lead to missed opportunities and heightened risks of infringement. By integrating IP considerations into their business strategy right from the outset, startups can proactively safeguard their innovations and mitigate the potential for costly legal disputes down the road. Thank you for joining us and welcome, Christopher and Carlo. Thank you for being with us again. Today, we want to outline for small companies and how they should approach planning their IP protection. Now, from trademarks to patents, and how you advise them to do this, or what guidelines you give, or if you even have services that approaches them. Maybe we start with a simple question to kick off. We discussed partly already in our previous webinar, but how do you assist startups when they really set out, when they're very early stage and come to you to think about intellectual property protection? Assume they don't have it. What are your processes in place? Do you do it yourself? Do you pass them on to your advisors? Maybe you can share your experience here. Carlo, you want to start?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, first of all, we create awareness about the fact that this is important. And only a share of companies realize that we have a specific important role for IP in our selection process. And then sometimes we have in front of us entrepreneurs that have experience with regards to these topics. In other cases they don't. One funny thing is that the ones that have experience about this is because they had some bad experiences from the past. For example, there was one company that wanted to raise money through crowdfunding, and they claimed they invented the anti-slip socks, but they didn't patent that. So they spent years complaining that they missed a huge opportunity. But then they had another idea and they said, okay, this time I want to do it very well. But this is a minority when it comes to entrepreneur. Of course, we need to make them understand it is important, and we need to guide them. As soon as they realize, okay, I want and I need to make some steps forward, we support them by introducing external entities that are focusing at strong knowledge of IP aspects. And we get some feedback from these entities, because we want to understand if they're on the right path and what they're doing, because this is, of course, something that for investors in the first offering or even in subsequent rounds become very, very, very important. And so we created this network of subjects on different subjects, and they know we can introduce clients, but they also know they must work well and have even good prices. So the crowdfunding platform do not solve the issues directly, but help identify them and find ways to solve issues with the right people.
Thank you. Christopher, how's that with you?
Yeah, I can agree to a lot of things said by Carlo, and I think we have to distinguish between two types of companies, right? One company is medtech, deep tech, again, where IP is at the core of the core asset, and normally these companies are very well prepared and have everything in place when they start talking to us. But then there are a lot of other companies that never thought about IP rights, right? And it even starts with, how is my process? How do I interact with customers? Do I have NDAs in place or something? So we help companies to consider, okay, what's your actual business case? Where do you want to reach? To help them on the strategic perspective a bit, to then get really into educational resources that we present, platforms, companies out there, give them reading material on how to get to a patent, to a trademark, etc. We use checklists for different industries in certain cases to see what is actually available out there and what can I protect and what can't I protect. So it's really making the awareness with the company, focusing on their business case. Where do they want to expand to? Should I have a German patent or a Finnish patent, or should it be European? Should I even get the extent of the US and China, etc.? So it's really sitting down at a very early stage to make them understand what they need to make it fit to their business case. This is where we normally help them as part of our due diligence process, because if they don't have a strategy and we don't get it aligned, we cannot finance the company. And then it's education and network are the two next steps, where we don't do it ourselves. We're not the IP experts, but we bring the right people to the table to help the company get there.
Very good. Do you have an example where this has worked particularly well in a, let's say, low-tech company?
That's a good question. Like the low-tech companies where we really had to do this are normally companies that are, for example, in the food industry. So they produce a food product. They have a brand that they're out there, but they don't understand how important brand is, for example, for a food product. Because if you go to the supermarket, you're looking for something, you're in the end more convinced by the brand. So you need to have the brand protected. We had companies that had a Finnish patent and they told us over and over again, we now want to expand to Germany with you guys and to the US with you guys. But when checking into the patents, we realized, okay, you don't even have your trademark registered there yet. So this is where we can help and get lower tech companies to the next stage. Again, with normal deep tech companies or companies that have really a new invention, normally they have this quite in place, because we come in at a stage where, first VCs have already invested, so the company understands what they have to do there.
Yeah. Thank you. You already mentioned, Carlo, you use a network of experts to guide through this. Do you have any particular resources that you do as a platform where you say, this is what we do, and afterwards we pass it on? Or is this integrated in the whole process already, where you onboard externals?
Well, the first part, the evaluation part, is actually very important, because it really gives an important feedback to companies. For example, in some cases, we gave negative feedback in terms of IP, where we're not accepting you for a crowdfunding offering because, I don't know, it seems that your trademark is not covered, and it really seems that you have a problem there. And it happened in a couple of cases when they came back and say, you were right, we tried to protect the trademark and it was impossible, it got rejected, and we are now back with a new trademark and a new brand identity. So that's something that is not a specific service, but it's a starting point for a process. And then we had some cases, especially after the offerings, when companies have the resources to, for example, register new patents, and then they start realizing that it brings some additional value to what we are selling, because it's easier to sell to larger groups, for example. And then they come back to us and say, okay, can you help us Can you recommend any player that can help us? Because we did this once, but we now want to have multiple products or processes or whatever covered. That's where we get advisory companies or incubators or whatever on board to work on that.
Okay, thank you very much. That's it for today. Let's talk next time about building an IP portfolio. Thanks again. We would like to thank you for joining us today for CrowdIP, and we hope to see you again another time. Please check out our website at eurocrowd.org for more resources and info on IP and crowdfunding, and also, of course, the website of EU IPO. And if you're interested in crowdfunding, why not visit the platforms of our speakers? Goodbye.